Hi and welcome to my Playhouse, and today we're gonna mess around with a Hewlett-Packard server, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. It's the DL560 Generation 10, and very often I get some questions about storage, and very often the question might be, I got this used server and it's not recognizing the disks and I can't install anything because of that. Very often that's because people don't realize that a server with a RAID controller doesn't just automatically give the disks to the operating system to mess with themselves, but you have to configure the RAID controller to make virtual drives to serve to the operating system, which is cool. It gives you more speed on your storage. But I'm gonna try today and configure some storage from this server, and we're gonna try and see if we can put some drives in here. I have the Pro and I have some EV. Oh, I have 3 Pros and I have 1 EVO. The other 2 is here. So we're gonna put those in and see if this Hewlett-Packard will take a non-Hewlett-Packard drive. I have put them in Hewlett-Packard trays. So far so good. There is already a drive in here because I do believe that I have installed server 2000 and I forget which version, but we're gonna figure that out. Let's boot this up. So let's power on. Wakey wakey. And I will most definitely give it to Hewlett-Packard. They do make it look good when you boot up and it's loading. There's all kind of graphics and fancy progress bars, and yeah, it's a great look. During boot we get this F10 option down here that I'm gonna try. Sometimes it's that one, sometimes we go with the F9, and yeah, let's see what we get into of trouble here. Oh, we can actually go to the smart stuff. That was what I wanted. Smart Storage Administrator, and they also call it SSA, and the server agrees. So let's go in there. At the moment it only has 1 drive, but we're gonna try and add some drives. These should be hot pluggable, so we should be able to just plug them in and it should recognize them, and we should be able to do something with them. I don't believe I have anything on them. While it's doing that, let me tell you about today's sponsor. It's you. If you have a Hewlett-Packard server and is in need of these, well, my little shop has these in plenty. So you can go and get a lot of these, and yeah, they're not that expensive, and buying some of them will support what I do. So these are the fillers for the hard drives. You can see now that I made a hole here. There's some big powerful fans in here, and now it'll just suck the air in this way, and this hard drive will not get as much cooling as it was getting before. So having these in gives better airflow where it's needed in your server. So visit my Playhouse shop, links are in the description. So now on the other side of the advertising, we have now booted the Smart Storage Administrator, and we can see our server Smart Start, and we can see our 1 solid state device, and I think we might be in unlock that this server doesn't even have a RAID controller. So yeah, that's not exactly what I wanted. So yeah, it does still see the hard drive though. So let's put the hard drive in and see what we can do with the hard drive when there's not a RAID controller in here. So let's take the 3 Pro ones and put those first. It shouldn't matter. Just pop those in. Sometimes dealing with non-Hewlett-Packard Enterprise drives will mess with you. So let's see if this is one of those cases today. Okay, let's borrow this space for a bit. And then try and pop this back in. There. So by itself, nothing has happened. Yeah, I believe we have to press the refresh up here. Do we get anything? We don't get anything special there. Refresh. And it absolutely doesn't care. So maybe we are in an instance where it does not like the drives at all. We will try and reboot and see if that is what is needed. So after a little bit of a reboot, it now sees 5 drives in here instead. So yeah, there are some 1 terabytes. That's nice. Still, there is no, well, adapter Intel component, which means that it's on the system board. Server Smart, diagnostics, there's nothing really here. So we can't do much at all. We can see some information about the drives, and this one, which is a Hewlett-Packard drive, we get some additional information about the remaining life of it. So it's pretty good still. Unfortunately, these non-Hewlett-Packard drive doesn't give us that same amount of information, and that probably has to do with that they're Samsung drives. But we did find out that the drives weren't hot plug when there's no RAID controller in here. So the server did have Microsoft Server 2022 on here. I guess I installed that last year, and it does see the drives that I just put in. A bit hard to see from all because I've been messing around with doing something on that drive, so there's a lot of drives. So maybe we should go and clear that so we can prepare our drives now that there is. This is kind of an HBA. It's directly presenting the drives to the operating system, more or less. It acts very much like an HBA anyway, but let's go command prompt. Let's go a bit bigger. Disk part. List disks. We get that. We should see it all. So let's see. Disk 0, 1 and 2 is 1 terabyte, and disk 4. And disk 5 is no media. No idea. So let's select disk it. Do we do that? No, it didn't like that. Okay. You can do some short stuff. You don't have to write all of it, but yeah, I just wanted to test it. So right now disk 1 is selected, so we can clean that. Clean, and we should now have a lot less. Oh, that one. So disk 1 is that one. It's clean. Let's list those again. So we needed to start with disk 0. And clean that one. There's a size difference. You can probably see that there's 953 drives, and then there's this one on 931 gigabyte. That's the Pro drives, and that's the EVO, the Samsung EVO drive. So now, and we're gonna clean that. Clean this drive, and we're gonna pick. We also need to clean drive 2. Just making sure that I'm not doing anything stupid. Oh, like hitting caps lock. Clean drive 2. Cool. And then we need disk 4. There. No. Okay. We are done with disk part, so we can now shut this down. And now it should be way more clean out here, and it is. We only have our disk 3, which is it's a 256 gigabyte boot drive, or 250 gigabyte boot drive. So okay, yeah. all the disks are ready to do something on them, and they shouldn't mess with us. With that terrible disappointment of there not being a RAID controller in the server, we've moved out into the data center where the good stuff is. And this is the DL380 generation 9, and it has a RAID controller right there. So goody goody fyong fyong. Even has a battery down here. So, and over here on the system board, there is the connections for if it hadn't got a RAID controller, you can put it down here. And yeah, if you're cheap, you can use the HBA on the system board. If you want, okay, I will stop it. It has onboard HBA, and then it has a RAID controller. I forget which RAID controller that is, but I think it's plenty to do this. So now I need to cable this. Dang it. So we're gonna be putting the drives in here. I already told you it's a bit dark down here. I forgot. I have a flashlight here out here in the data center, and this was given to me by a subscriber, Marcus from Germany, and I use this all the time. And it's magnetic, so I can place it. If just there's some metal somewhere, I can place it, and it's really good as studio lights as well. So yeah, we have 4 hard drives that we want to test here. So we're gonna pull out 4 of these awesome blank fillers here that I might just have mentioned that they're available in my shop. Didn't I very shortly mention that? I think so. There is already a couple of drives in this server, and these are spinning disks, 10,000 RPM SAS drives, 450 gigabytes. So we're not gonna mess with those. We're gonna be ready to insert. We're gonna put, that's the Evo drive, that has a gray square. The Pro drive has a red square. So yeah, not Russian at all. So we're gonna prepare them like this. The server is booting, so I'm waiting for that. So yeah, and we can just see the flashlight is right there. It's so cool. So ready for the drives. Looks about the same on this server. So we are gonna be doing some, I think, perform maintenance. And do we have some? Yeah, we have the HP Smart Storage Administrator, the SSA. It doesn't sound German at all. Would be very cool if you could press that. That would be very helpful indeed. Yeah, that's an issue. Okay. So I know that the smartest people among you has been wondering for years, why does Morten has his own data center? Why so many servers? Well, there's one reason. It's because I'm not allowed to eat my lasagna at work at the data center, so I had to have my own data center. It's not as if I'm making the rules there. Well, so yeah, lunch break. And after a little reboot, it also seems like we have more luck with our Hewlett-Packard Smart Storage Administrator. So now we have a RAID controller in here. It's the Smart Array P440AR. So we go in there. And in here we should be able to see our drives. It is 2 data drives over here. On that there is 1 data logical drive. Well, it's kind of the other way. On that there is 1 data array, and on that there is 1 logical drive. 2 data drives. That's the physical drive. Let's see some more details. And we get more details. Not actually that interesting, but we can go and configure, and we can also see over here that we have a couple of physical drives, 450 gigabyte physical drives. Awesome. Let's pop in our drives down there. So let's pop them in, and they should be checking them out. And I do believe that this RAID controller will be able to do, oh, that's not going. Hot swap. Oh, and someone forgot the flashlight. So Oh, they don't pop up by themselves. Let's try and refresh. Yep, there is some new drives here, physical drives, 5. They weren't there before. Yeah, I refreshed once again and now it sees 6 drives. So we have 2 1 terabytes on one of the channels, and we have 2 terabytes, we have 2 1 terabytes on the other channel. The RAID controller in there has 2 ports, port 1 and port 2. On the first port there is those 2 450 gigabyte spinning disks, and then there is these 2 1 terabyte SSDs, and on the second port there is just the 2 SSDs. But let's see what we can do on these. Array, and create array, and it gives us our available drives. We're just gonna pick all of them. Down here we have create array. Let's see what options we get. Oh, so it is telling me that those drives are not the same size, all of them, which is perfectly correct, because that Evo drive was about 20 gigabytes smaller. So yeah, we are losing 60 gigabytes, which is kind of a shame, but I don't have another one to replace it. So this RAID controller will help us do a RAID 0, which is striped. It just takes all the drives and adds all the storage and makes an array with all of the storage. There is no security whatsoever. Then we have the option of making a RAID 1, which is a mirror, plus 0, which is a stripe. So together that's a RAID 10-ish. That means that you will only get the storage space of 2 drives, and here you run into that the smallest drive is the limit, so all the other drives will also be degraded to that smaller size. That's a rather safe way to go, and also the RAID controller doesn't have to do much calculations to split up data, to just send a copy to each, so it's also very efficient. Then there's RAID 5, where you have the 4 drives and you get 3 drives storage capacity out of it, and you have 1 drive safety, so you can lose a drive and your data is still there. This is it's not recommended anymore, but it's still not a bad RAID. You can trust it so far that it's less likely that you're gonna need your backup. I would recommend it if data is not that important and you have a backup. If a drive fails, you can replace it and it should fix itself. There is an increasingly danger when one drive has failed and it has to rebuild of those equally old drives, but yeah, it's doable. RAID 6 is what it's recommending here. On RAID 6 it divides the data out on all 4 drives, but there are 2 drives that are security, so you can only get the storage capacity of 2 drives. So in this instance it doesn't make much sense to choose RAID 6 because RAID 1 would kind of do the same ish. I would go with RAID 5 to get a bit of safety, but also get the storage capacity. Down here we create logical drive and it's gonna do everything for us. There's a lot of other settings that if you don't know what they are, you shouldn't mess with them. So normally the settings are good for what you need. So let's create the drive. Oh, that's the mouse there. And it should be good to go. And it's telling me that one of those options that I picked, it's gonna be dragging the system down in the dirt for a little bit, so be a little bit more patient with it. Yes, yes. Good, we get a result page. We're gonna get 2.73 terabytes, which is 3 terabytes ish. So let's finish that, and now we have our array setups. We have array 1, we have array A and we have array B. So array 1 is those 2 450 gigabytes, and array B is logical drive 2 and is those 4 1 terabytes. So yeah, easy peasy. And if I pick the RAID controller here, we can see that there is one issue there, and if we go over here, and check the issue. We can see that it's in the background, it's initializing stuff, so it will be ever so slightly slow for a bit. Okay, we created that, we can leave and we can boot our operating system. So unfortunately there were no operating system to be found on those two 450 gigabyte drives. I don't know where it went, but yeah, right now if I put in if I was to try and install an operating system, for example from a USB stick, the rig controller will now present this new drive to the operating system installation USB stick. And I would have the possibility of installing my operating system on there or on the array with the two 450 gigabytes, which might make more sense, and then have the other one as a data drive. I don't know. But without making that array and the virtual drive, nothing is passed through to the operating system from the RAID controller, because the RAID controller is in the middle of everything. It hardware enhances the storage operations. It takes the tasks away from the CPU and it handles it for the CPU. It's like getting a cleaning lady. She will handle all your dirty laundry and you can do what you're best at. And the processor is actually not best at handling storage operations. It's more than happy to let the cleaning lady do what she's good at. So, thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye.